Hey YouTube, how you going? I'm going to kick off with the first video in my series on preparing for World's Toughest Mudder 2013, and I thought the basic stock standard thing that we need to cover is when to get to the event, especially for those people who are traveling from overseas, and just to make sure you're in the right headspace, you're not rushing, you're not worried about anything, and also when to leave. So I got to America a week before the event, and I would strongly recommend that you try and do that, just because, obviously there's the potential for a flight delay. So if you only, schedule to arrive 2 or 3 days before, and then your flight gets delayed by 12 hours or a whole day, stuff like that can happen, and then all of a sudden you're not leaving yourself a lot of time to get over the jet lag. So I get there a week before. On top of that, there are going to be last minute things that you need to go out and buy. There was quite a few things that I wanted to pick up, so 1 or 2 days of my 5 to 7 days before the event was literally spent buying things. Even if it's just like food, water and that kind of thing, that's pretty important. And also the temperature is different. Obviously, you're coming from Australia where we're moving into summer, going to the north where you're obviously moving into the winter. So it is just good to kind of get used to the conditions, although there's nothing like altitude or anything to really worry about. I found it beneficial being there a few days before, get used to it being cold, and just get in the right headspace. Then you're not rushing, you're not worrying about anything. As I said, if there's a few things that you need to pick up beforehand, you can do it. I stayed in New York until the Friday before the event, the Friday setup, and then drove there that morning. It was okay, but if I was you, I would definitely plan on getting there on the Thursday. Even if it's late on Thursday, you can check in to your motel, sort out all your gear in terms of what you need to take to the site and what you're going to leave in the hotel room, just your normal clothes and everything. And then Friday morning, when you wake up, there's no rush, you're not kind of stressing for directions or anything like that. You can go. I would set up early. Last year it was meant to start the setup at 10 AM, I think, but it got pushed back until the afternoon just because of the hurricane that they had around that time, and they needed a bit more, time to set up. So hopefully this year, again, it opens at around 10 AM. Get there nice and early, register. The line probably took about an hour or so, to get through that whole registration process. You can then go set up your tent, put all the gear that you're going to leave there overnight, over that Friday night before you start racing Saturday. If you've got anything expensive like a Garmin watch or a special bit of equipment that you want to kind of keep safe, obviously you can leave that back at the motel room and just take it on the Saturday. But yeah, I definitely do that. When I set up on the Friday night, partly because of what happened with Tough Mudder pushing the rego back, it was a little bit stressful because we only had literally, I don't know, it was probably only an hour until they said we had to get out, although that did get extended, I think. And it was just all a bit rushed. It was dark, it was getting cold. And, it's the last thing you kind of want to be worrying about the night before the event. You want to have an early sleep. I didn't get to bed until quite late just because of all these delays. So, yeah, definitely, in my opinion, set up nice and early. Get your tent out of the way. Go and have a nice, relaxing day. Don't worry about, anything. And that's certainly the best thing to do. Obviously, on Saturday and Sunday, or Sunday morning, you'll be running. You'll be racing. Now, once you finish on Sunday, you can finish anywhere, obviously, between 10 AM and 2 PM, odd, and then you're going to need time to, the one thing I forgot, well, didn't forget, but didn't really think about until the time, is you're going to need time to pack up all your gear and go. So it's not like you finish the race and you're off. I had my spare change of clothes in my tent for after the event, but your tent, obviously, it ain't the biggest thing, so and that stuff gets wet. Like when you come in your tent, you're in your wetsuit, need to change shoes or, put on a thicker wetsuit, whatever it is, it's just a bit cramped. So if you've got someone who's at the event or watching you, leave your change of clothes with them. That way, after the Sunday, finish your run, you can meet up with them at the finish line, say, look, I'm going to line up, have a shower. You can jump in the shower, get as much mud off you as possible, and then just come out, put your warm clothes on, tracksuit pants, that kind of thing. Big nice warm jackets work good, beanie, gloves, just to raise that body temperature up, because it is cold, and once you stop running, all of a sudden you're going to feel it a lot more than when you were moving. And then just garbage bags. Just thick garbage bags, dump your wetsuit, your shoes, everything. It's just going to be muddy, wet, and yeah, just chuck it all in a big garbage bag. And then you can just put that in your boot, sealed up, go back to your tent. Obviously, I had a plastic container where I kept a lot of the things that I didn't want, to get trod on or damaged in there, like spare shoes, spare headlamps, batteries, that kind of thing. Put all the stuff that's still dry in that, lug that away, fold up the tent. I couldn't be asked putting it, into the little sleeve, the pouch that it comes in, so I just kind of took all the, the beams out, put those in the little bag, and then the tent kind of soft cover itself, I just folded up because it was full of mud and stuff, and just chucked that in the boot as well. Then when you get back to your motel, if they've got an outside hose, I would hose it out outside. I washed all my gear in the bathroom, and man, there was just so much mud, it was ridiculous, and it took a really long time to get that stuff clean, especially if you want to bring this stuff back home. I know some people just dumped wetsuits and tents and all that kind of stuff, but if you're trying to save money, obviously you might not want to do that. In terms of leaving the next day, again, just because of the hurricane, we had to hire a car outside of New York, which meant we had to return it quite early because the fees had been jacked up per day, and we didn't want to go past our, I think it was a 9 a.m. drop-off, otherwise we'd have to pay another whole day's charges, and we're trying to keep that budget low. And yeah, so it was an early morning for me. Your legs are going to kill you. If you can walk, you didn't go hard enough. But I would personally try and stay in the motel that Monday and then leave on the Tuesday, if you can afford it with car hire and everything like that. Much better way of doing things. I had a guy who races here in the Obstacle Course Racing League in Australia. We talk a lot about World's Toughest Mudder. He actually flew out on the Monday, and when he arrived home in Sydney, he couldn't walk off the plane. He had to get a wheelchair, and he recounts the story as he come down the ramp. His parents thought something was drastically wrong with him, because here he is in a wheelchair, but all it was that his legs had just swelled up, just fluid retention, and obviously, from the effects of running that long and then stopping, and literally the next day sitting on a plane for like 18 hours or whatever it is. So if you can, extra day, that's what I recommend. So just to recap, guys, get there the Thursday. Set up early on the Friday so you can not think about it, not worry. You're racing Saturday, you're racing Sunday morning. You probably won't leave at least until 2 o'clock at the earliest on Sunday, maybe even later. If you can, stay the Monday. That also gives you an extra day to wash things out, so you don't have to do it that night like I did, because I was so tired, and there I am in the bath trying to rinse shit out, and then leave on the Thursday. That would be the plan for me. You can go to New York afterwards if you want to have a bit of an extended trip there, or what I did, spent the first week in New York, then after the event we actually flew over to the other side of the country, went to San Francisco, and drove down to LA before flying out. Thanks for watching, guys. First video in the series. If you haven't checked out the first video kind of explaining all this, you can watch it below. I'll put a link, but just in that video, I'm pretty much saying if you have any questions, want to know anything about World's Toughest Mudder, how to prepare, let us know. I get emails fairly regularly, and just thought I'd do this to help you guys out as much as I can. Thanks for watching, and talk soon.